Happy Thursday. We are ready for chapter 9 today. So maybe today we can get through 2 chapters. When we left off yesterday, the last words that Georgina said were, I made up my mind. I was definitely going to steal that dog. So originally she decided she was going to steal the dog, and she decided she didn't need to because her mom found a place to live. But the place that her mom found to live was pretty terrible. And they ended up getting kicked out. That's what we learned in yesterday's chapter. They aren't allowed to go back. So now they don't have anywhere to go. Now they're stuck back in their car. So she has decided that she has got to steal that dog. So let's see what happens. That night, I dreamed Toby was a dog. He sat on the back seat beside me with his head stuck out the window, his ears flapping in the wind. We drove and drove and drove, and then we pulled into a long, winding road that led to a castle. Mama stopped the car in front of the giant front door of the castle and said, "Here's our new house." Toby the dog started crying and saying how he wanted to go back home where he belonged. And then I woke up from that dream. I peered down at Toby, curled up on the floor of the car, sucking his thumb. It was so hot the windows were all steamed up. I rolled my window part way down. Then I leaned back and stared out at the lit up sign of the Brushy Creek Lutheran Church. I had gone to that church one time when I was little with my friend Racine Wickham. We had made May baskets, weaving strips of pink and yellow construction paper in and out. I had glued a pink pipe cleaner handle on mine and filled it with clover flowers for Mama. I remember how on the way home I'd been all squished in the back seat beside Racine's brothers, and I'd clutched that May basket in my lap. I couldn't wait to give it to Mama, even though the clover flowers had wilted and were lying all droopy in the bottom of the basket. But when I got home, Mama and Daddy were yelling at each other and wouldn't even look at me when I tried to show them my May basket. Racine had moved away to Florida, and now here I was, back here at the very same church, sleeping in my car. When the sun came up, we headed over to the pancake house to wash up and get some toast. The bread we had in the milk crate in the trunk of the car had turned green with mold, and Mama had tossed it out the window, right into the church parking lot. "I want pancakes," Toby said, frowning down at his toast. Mama sipped her coffee, squinting through the steam, and said, "No, Toby." "Why not?" Toby whined. Mama slammed the cup down, sloshing coffee onto the table. "Because you can't have everything you want, Toby," she said. I ate my toast and watched Mama scoop up all the little plastic tubs of jelly into her purse. "Y'all go over to the Y after school and wait till I get there, okay?" "The Y?" "Yes, Georgina, the Y." The Darby YMCA was nothing but a room in the basement of the town hall. Some kids went there after school to play games and stuff while their parents were at work. "We can't go there," I said. Mama sighed. "Just do like I say, Georgina." "But you have to sign up and stuff," I said. "You can't just go there. And I bet you have to pay money." But Mama wouldn't even answer me. She counted out some coins, slapped them on the table, and headed out to the car, leaving me and Toby to scramble after her. That day in school, all I could think about was how I was going to steal that little dog, Willie. While Mr. White read stuff about the Revolutionary War, I pulled my purple notebook out of my backpack and flipped through what I had so far. Everything seemed pretty good, except for that problem about where to keep the dog after you steal him. I thought and thought about it, and then, just like a light bulb going on, I got an idea. I could keep Willie at that boarded up old house. There was a tiny little porch around back off the kitchen. It was kind of rotten and all, but a dog wouldn't care about that, and that house wasn't too far from Whitmore Road. I could walk that far, no problem. At last, I thought things were finally starting to look better. At lunch, I asked Luann if me and Toby could go to her house after school. I didn't tell her we were supposed to go to the Y. I don't think so, Luann said. How come? Luann fiddled with the buttons on her shirt. I got some stuff to do, she said. Like what? She shrugged. Just some stuff with Mama. I twirled my spaghetti around and around on my fork and listened to the girls at our table going on and on about some movie they had all seen. Then Luann piped in and said how she had just loved that movie too. I kept on twirling my spaghetti and feeling more and more like I didn't want to be there at that lunch table. I wanted to float right up through the ceiling and out into the blue sky. I didn't belong there with those girls. I hadn't seen that movie. I couldn't buy those bracelets that they all wore. They had been over at the mall while I'd been washing my underwear in the bathroom sink at Walgreens. So I just sat there twirling and thinking about Willie. After school, me and Toby walked over to the town hall. I am not going down there, I told him, nodding toward the basement window. You can if you want to, but I'm not. The sound of kids playing and balls bouncing drifted out of the open window. Toby shook his head. Then I'm not going neither, he said. I tossed my backpack on a nearby bench. We've got to find some string or something, I said to Toby. What for? Remember, for Willie? Oh, he said. So we walked up and down the street, looking in gutters and dumpsters and trash cans. I was just about to give up when Toby hollered, Here's some, Georgina. I ran over to the curb where Toby was holding a stack of newspapers tied with heavy string. Yes, I pumped my fist and high-fived Toby. Good job! Toby looked just pleased as punch. I untied the string and stuffed it into my pocket. Let's go back and wait for Mama, I said. It was nearly dark by the time we saw our car come sputtering up the street toward the town hall, leaving a trail of black smoke behind it. Sorry, y'all, Mama said when we climbed into the back seat. We're starving, Toby said. I know, sweetheart, Mama said. I'd write y'all some chicken. Toby dug through the bag in the front seat and pulled out a piece of greasy fried chicken. I got a job, Mama said. I took a piece of chicken and pulled the soggy skin off. Where? I said, dropping the chicken skin back into the bag. The coffee shop over by the hardware store. She glanced at herself in the rearview mirror. I wondered if she saw the same tired and worried face that I did. Well, that's good, I said. She took a swig out of a soda can. I guess so, she said, then pulled the car to the side of the road and stopped. What's the matter? I said. She shook her head. I'm just so darn tired of all this, she said. My stomach clumped up in a knot, and I wished I hadn't eaten that chicken. Why was Mama acting so sad? I needed her to act like everything was okay, like she always does. Nobody said anything after that. We just sat there in that car. That was our home. Crammed in with all of our stuff. The smell of greasy fried chicken hovered in the still air around us. Mama broke the silence when she slapped her hands on the steering wheel and said, Anyway, so now I'll be at work when y'all get out of school. So come on over to the coffee shop and wait in the car, okay? I ran my dog-stealing plans around inside my head. This would be perfect. The coffee shop wasn't far from Whitmore Road. I could grab Willie, hide him on the porch of that old house, and then get back to the car, no problem. Mama wouldn't even know if me and Toby were there or not. That night, I fingered the string in my pocket and watched Mama helping Toby with his homework. They huddled together in the front seat with the flashlight propped up on the dashboard. Shadows danced around the ceiling as they worked. I pulled out my notebook and turned to How to Steal a Dog. I wrote April 14th. Then, beside that, I wrote, Step 4. Use this list to make sure you are ready to steal a dog. Number 1. Are you ready? Are you sure you have found the right dog? Number 2. Can you open the gate? Number 3. Do you have some rope or string? Number 4. Do you have a good place to keep the dog? I read through each one and put a check mark beside yes every time. After the list, I wrote, if you can check yes for every one, then you are ready to steal a dog. I thumped the pencil eraser against my teeth. Then I added, P.S. Remember that you have to wait until nobody is home at the house where the dog lives. P.P.S. Don't forget to take your string, rope, or leash. I closed my notebook and pushed it back down inside my trash bag. And when my guilty conscience started hollering at me, telling me I was doing the wrong thing, I pushed that down too. There was no doubt about it. I was really, really going to steal that dog. Chapter 10. Shh! I put my finger to my lips and motioned for Toby to stay behind me. We tiptoed along the hedge in front of the big brick house. When we got to the gate, I scanned the street, then whispered to Toby, you be on the lookout. If anybody comes outside or a car comes or anything, you whistle like I showed you to this morning, okay? Toby nodded. I peered over to the gate. The front door of the house was closed. I glanced toward the driveway. No car. The yard was empty and quiet. Here, Willie, I called out real soft. Nothing. Maybe he was inside. I wondered if I should go on up to the porch. Probably not. If somebody was home, they were liable to see me. Maybe you should whistle, Toby whispered. Okay, I whistled one time and waited. Sure enough, Willie stuck his head out of that little doggy door. When he saw me, he dashed out the door and up to the gate. Hey, Willie, I whispered, sticking my hand through the gate to pet him. He stood on his hind legs and put his front paws on the gate. His tail wagged so hard his whole body wiggled. He licked my hand like it was a T-bone steak. You want to come with us? I said. He cocked his head and peered up at me, and then I swear he nodded his head. If he could have talked, I'm sure he would have said, heck yeah, I want to come with you. So as quick as I could, I lifted the latch on the gate and opened it just enough to reach my arm in. My heart was pounding so hard, all I could hear was the thump, thump, thump in my ears. I knew I had to keep myself moving or else I was liable to start thinking. And if I started thinking, I was liable to think I shouldn't be doing this. So I turned my mind to off and grabbed Willie's collar. I pulled him through the gate and out onto the sidewalk. He kept wagging his tail and looking at me with his shiny black eyes. I took the string out of my pocket and tied it to his flea collar. Okay, let's go, I said to Toby, and took off running. I ran down Whitmore Road, around the corner, and into the woods. Willie ran right beside me. Every now and then he leaped up on me or nipped at my heels, like this was the most fun game he had ever played. Once in a while, he'd let out a little yip. When we were far enough into the woods that I was sure no one else could see us from the road, I stopped to catch my breath. I put my hand on my pounding heart and leaned against the tree. Toby ran up and stopped beside me. We did it, he hollered. Shh! I clamped my hand over his mouth. Somebody might hear us. You gotta be really quiet. Willie sat in front of us with his tongue hanging out, panting. His tail wagged on the ground. Swish, swish, swish. I knelt down and ran my hand along his back. He closed his eyes and leaned against me. It's okay, fella, I said. Don't be scared. Me and Toby are nice. He scratched behind his ear with his hind leg, making the tag on his collar jingle. What do we do now? Toby said. We take him over to that house and tie him up on the porch. What if he don't like it there? He's going to be just there for a little while, I said. As soon as his owner puts up the reward sign, we'll just take him back home. Oh. Toby knelt and rubbed the top of Willie's head. What if his owner don't put up one of them reward signs? I flapped my hand at Toby. Trust me, that lady is going to want him back more than anything. She's probably already making a reward sign right this minute. I made my voice sound calm and sure, but a funny little feeling was tapping at my insides. A feeling like maybe I had done a real bad thing. I took a deep breath, trying to swallow that feeling and keep it from growing. I unbuckled Willie's green collar and tossed it into the bushes. Tap, tap. There was that feeling again, tapping at my insides like it was trying to tell me something. What'd you do that for? Toby said. I rolled my eyes. Think about it, Toby. 'Cause he don't need any more? Toby squeezed his eyebrows together and bit his lip. I sighed. No, Dumbo, because we can't take him back to his owner with his collar on, or else she'd wonder why we didn't call her. Her phone number's right there on the tag. Oh, Toby nodded, but he still looked confused. I swear, sometimes he is dumber than dirt. Come on, I motioned for Toby to follow me. We made our way through the woods behind the houses on Whitmore Road. I could hear the cars on the highway up ahead, so I was pretty sure we were going in the right direction. Willie trotted along beside me, happy as anything. Every now and then he stopped to sniff the ground or root through the rotting leaves. Once he stopped to dig, sending dirt and leaves and twigs flying out behind him and making me and Toby laugh. He sure was a funny dog. When we got to the highway, I stooped down behind the bushes along the edge. I handed the string leash to Toby. Here, I said, hold this while I see if any cars are coming. I checked in both directions. No cars. I went back to where Toby sat with his arm around Willie. Okay, now listen, I said. We gotta run across the highway, then through that vacant lot over there. I'm pretty sure we can cut through those woods to get to that old house. He nodded. I took the string from him and dashed across the highway, with Willie leaping alongside me. We kept running and running until we made it to the edge of the gravel road leading to the old house. The whole time, Willie pranced and yipped and jumped up on me. Once in a while, he grabbed the string in his mouth and gave it a tug. When we got to the house, Willie perked his ears up and watched me. We're here, fella, I said, scratching the top of his head. He looked at that run-down, boarded-up house and then back at me. I had a feeling I knew what he was thinking. It's okay, Willie, I said. You won't be here long, I promise. He cocked his head in that cute way of his. I don't know how he did it, but that little dog can make you love him just by looking at him. I sat down in the dusty road and put my arm around him. He crawled right into my lap and licked my face. His licks weren't all slobbery like most dogs. It's spooky here, Toby said in that whiny voice of his. I knew if I didn't do something fast, he was liable to turn into his baby self and start crying or something. You hold Willie and I'll make a path to the back porch, I said. I pushed through the sticker bushes and vines, mashing them down and breaking off branches till there was a clear path to the back of the house. It was dark and damp back there. You couldn't even see the sky through the overgrown trees. The tiny porch leaned slightly, like any minute it was going to fall right off the back of that house. The steps leading up to it were loose and rotten. One of them was broken all the way through. The screen door dangled by one hinge. Come on, I called to Toby. He and Willie came around to the corner of the house and stopped. No way, Georgina. We cannot put Willie in there, Toby said. Listen, Toby, I said. This is the best place. Nobody'll see him. And he won't get wet if it rains. And besides, he won't be here long. I watched Toby's face, but he did not look convinced. And we'll come and stay with him after school and all, I added. Toby swiped at the tears that had started. You're mean, he said. Man, why do you have to go and say that? I sure didn't want to hear it, because that's exactly how I was feeling. Mean. Toby, listen. I put both hands on his shoulders and looked him square in the eye. Aren't you tired of living in the car? He hung his head and nodded a tiny little bit. Don't you want to have a real place to live? With walls and beds and a bathroom and everything? He nodded again. Then we need to help Mama get some money, I said, and this is the only thing I can think of. Can you think of another way? I bent down and tried to look him in the eye again, but his head was hanging too low. All I could see was his long, dirty hair all tangled up and ratty looking. Then we gotta do this, I said. We'll take good care of Willie, and we'll take him right back home just as soon as we can. And then we'll get the reward money, and everything will be good. I jiggled Toby's shoulders. Okay, I added. I knew Toby didn't believe me, 'cause I wasn't sure I believed myself. That old tapping feeling was getting bigger and bigger, and in my head I was thinking maybe I was messing up. And I was starting to think how I wished I could go back in time to the hour before, or the day before, or the week before. But I knew I couldn't do that. I was there behind that awful old house with that cute little dog looking at me. And I knew it was up to me to make everything turn out good, just like I had planned. I took the string leash from Toby and led Willie up the creaky steps to the porch. This isn't so bad, I called out to Toby. The top half of the porch had been screened in once, but now what was left was a rusty old screen hung in the tatters. Leaves and pine needles had blown in and covered the floor, settling in the corners in damp, moldy piles. I pushed some of the wet leaves aside, trying to make a clean spot. Then I knelt down and took Willie's head in both my hands. Don't be scared, okay? I said. We'll be back real soon and everything will be just fine. Then I rubbed my nose back and forth against his, an Eskimo kiss. Willie rested his chin in my hands and gazed up at me like he believed every word I said. What if he gets hungry? Toby called from the bottom of the steps. Hungry? I hadn't even thought about that. I couldn't believe Toby was thinking up something else. I had left that out of my How to Steal a Dog notes. I said, what if he gets hungry? Toby called out. Oh, I've already got that all worked out, I lied. My mind raced, trying to think of how I was going to feed Willie. And what if I couldn't get back here every day? How long can a dog go without food? And water, Toby said. Dogs need water, you know. He might die if he don't have any water. Shut up, Toby. That's all I could think of to say, and it did the trick. He shut up, but it didn't help me feel any better. I tied the string to the doorknob and said goodbye to Willie. Then I led the way back through the weeds and the briar bushes toward the road. I was glad Toby was quiet as we walked, because I had a whole lot of thinking to do about food and water for Willie, about what I had done, about what to do next. But it was hard to get my thoughts all straightened out with my insides kicking up like they were. That tapping feeling was turning into full-out banging in my chest. All right, so that concludes chapter 10. So she has successfully, or somewhat successfully, stole the dog, and now she's got to figure out what she didn't think of. She didn't think about how she was going to feed it and water it. So we'll see what happens next. We'll see if she comes up with a way to take it food every day, or if someone finds out. I'm anxious to see what is going to happen next. So one thing I want to do today, I always tell you guys how much I love dogs, and I know I've shown you pictures of my dogs before, but I want to show you my dogs in video. Since the story that we're reading is about a dog, I want to show you. So let me see if I can get Rex to wake up. Come here, Rex, come here. Come here, wake up. Come here, buddy. Come here. Oh, no, well, I didn't get Rex, but he's really napping. Here's Ruger. Ruger, he is, look, can you look over here? He is German Shepherd and Hound mix. So sweet. See his sweet face? He's so sweet. Mwah. All right, let me see. Come here, Rex. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. All right, here's Rex and here's Ruger. They are best friends, and they love to lay here in the floor while I work throughout the day. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope that you're enjoying the book so far. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for chapters 11 and 12. I'll see you soon. Bye.